knows tech. He got banned from Discord for hate speech, Brittany giggled. It was iconic. I stood up. I knew what was coming. I could smell the ozone before the lightning struck. You're firing me, I said. It wasn't a question. Transitioning, Preston corrected. We're transitioning you. We feel the company needs a fresh face, someone who understands the optics of the modern cloud. You're replacing a 20-year veteran and a former NSA analyst with a Discord mod, I summarized. He's chief of cyberculture, Brittany insisted. I looked at Chase. He was picking his nose. Subtly. He thought, but I have 4K cameras in my brain. Okay, I said. I assume you have the paperwork? HR has it, Preston said, looking relieved I wasn't screaming, effective immediately. We'll need your badge. I reached into my pocket, pulled out the keycard that controlled the flow of information for half the western seaboard and set it on the glass table. It made a sharp clack. Good luck, Preston, I said. You're going to need it. We make our own luck, Chase said. Finally sitting up, and we make our own content. I didn't say another word. I turned around and walked out. I didn't slam the door. I didn't flip a desk. I walked with the steady, rhythmic pace of a woman who knows exactly where the bodies are buried because she dug the graves. They thought they were firing a stumbling block. They didn't realize they were pulling the control rod out of a nuclear reactor. I walked back to the elevator. The vibe in the hallway felt different now. It felt like a funeral, not mine, theirs. I didn't leave immediately. Technically, I had 2 hours to collect my personal effects, which is corporate speak for we're watching you to make sure you don't steal a stapler. An HR rep named Tiffany, who looked like she was 12 and was clearly terrified of me, hovered by my office door while I packed. There wasn't much to pack. A spare sweater, a bottle of Excedrin, my certification plaques, which were heavy enough to bludgeon a man to death. I placed them gently into a cardboard box. While I was clearing out my desk, the announcement went out. It wasn't an email. Oh no, that would be too old school. It was a live stream notification that pinged every phone in the building, including mine, which hadn't been wiped yet. Mandatory town hall, new era, new vibes, meet Chase. I could see the main floor from my office window, a glass-walled fishbowl overlooking the server operations center. Employees were gathering down there, looking confused. The serious engineers, the guys with graying beards and coffee stains on their shirts, looked like they were marching to the gallows. The marketing team looked thrilled. I decided to watch. I needed to see the execution. Preston took the stage, holding a microphone like he was a stand-up comic. Hey everyone, gather round, gather round. Big energy today. Huge energy? The applause was scattered, polite. We've made a tough decision today, Preston said, his face doing that fake sad thing politicians do. Karen has decided to pursue other opportunities. We thank her for her service, but we realize that to get to the next level, to the moon, we need to shed the old skin. We need to be agile. We need to be human. He swept his arm out. Please welcome your new chief of cyberculture and data innovation. Chase. Chase jogged onto the stage. He was wearing sunglasses, indoors in a secure facility. He grabbed the mic. Yo, what's up, DataFam? Chase yelled. I physically winced. DataFam. I felt a part of my soul wither and die. Look, Chase said, pacing the stage. I know things have been tight around here. Strict. Boring. I heard you guys have to swipe a badge just to take a piss. He laughed. We're changing that. Data wants to be free, right? We're going to open up the API. We're going to stream our uptime stats on Twitch. We're going to put RGB lighting on the server racks because why should the machines be boring? I looked down at the server floor. I saw my lead network architect, a guy named David who had served in the Signal Corps, put his face in his hands. And hey, Chase continued, I know some of you are worried about security. Bro, security is a mindset. It's not a firewall. It's a community. If we trust each other, the hackers can't get in. It's about positive vibes blocking negative packets. Positive vibes blocking negative packets, I whispered to myself. It was the stupidest sentence I had ever heard in the English language. It was so stupid it was almost art. Tiffany, the HR girl, coughed. Karen, are you almost done? Just about, I said. I picked up a thick black binder from the bottom drawer. It was 3 inches thick. Spine simply said, Tier 1 Protocols Emergency Failsafes. I held it in my hands. This binder contained the manual override codes, the contact numbers for the Pentagon liaison, the cascading encryption keys, and the strict chain of custody procedures required by federal law. It was the Bible of that building. I looked at the binder. Then I looked at Chase down on the stage, who was currently demonstrating a tick-tock dance he called the packet loss. I had a choice. I could give this binder to Chase. I could walk down there, interrupt his little show, and explain the gravity of the national security infrastructure he was currently grinding his hips on. I could try to teach him. But then I remembered Preston's smile. I remembered Gatekeeper Y. I remembered positive vibes. If I gave them the binder, they wouldn't read it. They would throw it in a recycling bin because it wasn't a PDF with embedded GIFs. I put the binder in my box. Is that personal property? Tiffany asked, eyeing the binder. It's my personal notes, I lied, nothing proprietary, just memories. Okay, she squeaked. I finished packing. I took the box. I walked out of the office that had been my cockpit for a decade. As I passed the server room, I saw Chase down there now, slapping high fives with the confused engineers. He was touching things. He was leaning against a rack of blades that processed real-time troop movements in the Middle East. I felt a surge of nausea, followed by a cold, calming wave of certainty. They had no idea what they had done. They thought they had just fired a grumpy middle manager. They didn't realize they had just fired the brakes on a freight train headed for a cliff. I walked to the parking lot. My Ford F-150 was waiting. It was a practical truck, reliable. I put the box in the passenger seat. I patted the binder. "Don't worry," I told it. "They'll miss you soon enough." I started the engine. It roared to life. I lit a metaphorical cigarette I quit 10 years ago, but in my soul I was lighting a Marlboro Red and inhaling the burning tobacco of pure, unadulterated spite. I drove out of the lot, checking my rearview mirror. The building gleamed in the Colorado sun. It looked peaceful. It looked secure. For now, I gave it a week. Maybe 2. Entropy is a patient mistress, but incompetence is a speedrunner. Let me be crystal clear about something. I did not sabotage the system. I didn't plant a logic bomb. I didn't write a script to delete the databases at midnight. I am a professional, and more importantly, I am a patriot. Sabotage is a felony. Treason is a capital offense. I wasn't going to prison for these clowns. I simply stopped holding the ceiling up. See, the systems I built were designed to be paranoid. They operated on a zero-trust model. They didn't trust the internet. They didn't trust the internal network. And they definitely didn't trust a 20-something wearing a Supreme hoodie. The core of our D.O.D compliance was something called the heartbeat handshake. Every 72 hours, the Tier 1 servers required a manual authentication token. This token had to be generated by a certified security officer, me, using a specific RSA key on a specific air-gapped terminal. If the heartbeat wasn't received, the system assumed the facility had been compromised. It assumed the building had been overrun by hostiles. So, what does the system do in that scenario? It doesn't explode. It locks down. It enters turtle mode. It severs all external connections, encrypts the local drives with a 4096-bit key that would take a supercomputer a billion years to crack, and sends a silent distress signal to the Pentagon. Chase didn't know about the heartbeat. Why would he? He was too busy setting up a chill-out zone in the server room. I drove home to my cabin. I live about 40 miles out of town up in the foothills, no neighbors, just pine trees and spotty cell service, which is how I like it. I unpacked my box. I put my plaques on the mantle. I put the binder in my safe, right next to my birth certificate and my grandfather's service pistol. Then I made tea, Earl Grey, hot, and I sat on my porch and waited. The first 24 hours were quiet. I imagined Chase was busy onboarding, which probably involved finding out where the vending machines were and setting up his ring light. My phone buzzed. It was David, the lead network architect. "David, Karen, are you serious? Me? As a heart attack, Dave, I'm out." "David, this guy is a moron. He just asked me if we can route the cooling system exhaust to heat the breakroom floor because his feet get cold." "Me, don't do that, Dave. Moisture buildup." "David, I know, I told him. He said I was being negative energy." "Karen, he's asking for the admin passwords, the root access." I sipped my tea. The sun was setting, painting the mountains in hues of purple and gold. It was beautiful. Me, do not give him root, Dave. You know the protocol. If he's not on the authorized personnel list, Apple, giving him root is a breach of contract. "David, I told him that. He said he's the chief of cyberculture and he outranks the list. He's threatening to fire me. Me, let him. If he fires you, you get severance. If you give him the codes and the feds find out, you get Leavenworth." "David, God help us." I put the phone down. I could feel the tension radiating off the device. It was starting. Chase was hitting the first wall, permission structure. In his world, if you bought the software, you owned it. In my world, nobody owns the software. The software owns you. I checked my watch. It had been 30 hours since I generated the last heartbeat token. That meant they had 42 hours left before the system started asking questions. I decided to do some gardening. I have a nice patch of tomatoes. Weeding is therapeutic. You pull the invader out, the soil breathes. The plant thrives. It's simple, binary. Alive or dead, in or out. As I was pulling a stubborn dandelion, I thought about the reforms Preston was probably bragging about to the board right now. Streamlined efficiency, he'd say. New energetic leadership. They were likely celebrating my departure. Maybe they even had a cake. Good riddance to the buskill. I ripped the dandelion out, roots and all. Dirt scattered across my gloves. The thing about cyberculture is that it doesn't account for the physical reality of heat and electricity. Chase was about to learn that you can't influence a circuit breaker. You can't gaslight a firewall. My phone buzzed again. A notification from LinkedIn. "Chase keeps viewing your profile." I laughed. A dry, rasping sound that startled a nearby squirrel. He was looking for credentials. He was looking for the keys. He probably realized that half the admin panels were grayed out and he couldn't figure out why. He wouldn't find the answer on LinkedIn. The answer was in a binder, in a safe, in a cabin he didn't know existed. The sun dipped below the horizon. The air grew cold. I wrapped my cardigan tighter around myself. Tick-tock, Chase. Tick-tock. The texts from the inside started coming in faster, like distress signals from a sinking submarine. "David, 48 hours since departure. He's bringing in outside contractors. Consultants he knows from his crypto mining days. They're walking around the server floor with laptops. Unvetted laptops, Karen. They're plugging into the diagnostic ports. I read the text and felt a spike of genuine fear. Not for my job, that was gone, but for the data. Plugging an unverified laptop into a Tier 1 diagnostic port is like having unprotected intimacy in a plague ward. It's suicidal. Me, log it, Dave, document everything. Time, date, MAC addresses if you can get them. Don't interfere, just witness. I wasn't just being petty, I was building a case file. Because when the Inquisition came, and it was coming, I needed to make sure the blast radius didn't hit the good people like David. By Friday afternoon, the 72-hour heartbeat window was closing. I was sitting at my kitchen table, cleaning my grandfather's service pistol. It's a rhythmic process. Disassemble, clean, oil, reassemble. Click, slide, snap. My laptop was open to the public-facing status page of the company's network. Green lights across the board, for now. Then, a new notification. This time, it wasn't a text. It was a phone call. The caller ID said unknown. I let it ring twice, then I picked up. This is Karen. Karen, it's Preston. The CEO's voice was tight, strained. The vibes were clearly not immaculate. Preston, I said, continuing to wipe the slide of the pistol with a rag. To what do I owe the pleasure? I thought we had transitioned. Look, we're having a small technical hiccup, he said. He sounded like he was trying to smile through the phone. Chase is adjusting to the systems. He's asking for the master override password for the legacy containment protocol. The legacy containment protocol? I asked, feigning ignorance. You mean the heartbeat? Yes, the heartbeat thingy. It's flashing red on the main board. It's annoying everyone. It's killing the mood. Chase says it's just a legacy glitch you left behind. It's not a glitch, Preston. It's a dead man's switch. It ensures that a certified officer is at the helm. Right, Preston said, impatient. Well, Chase is the officer now, so just give me the code, I'll pass it to him, and we can all move on. We'll pay you a consulting fee. $500. I almost dropped the gun slide. $500? Preston, that system protects national security assets. And you want me to give the nuclear codes to a kid who got fired from Discord over the phone for $500? Karen, don't be difficult. Just give us the code. I can't, I said. The code changes every time it's used. It's generated by a token that is currently in a safe. A safe that belongs to the director of security. So where's the token? I turned it in, I said. In the box with my badge. There was silence on the line. We threw the box out. Chase said it was negative artifacts. I closed my eyes and pinched the bridge of my nose. You threw away the RSA token, the hardware key? It looked like a Tamagotchi, Preston yelled. How were we supposed to know? Then you have a problem, Preston, because without that token you can't satisfy the heartbeat. And if you don't satisfy the heartbeat I checked my watch. 4 hours the system goes into lockdown. Well, turn it off, remotely. I don't have remote access, Preston. You revoked it, remember? Fresh face. New era. Chase says he can bypass it, Preston threatened. He says he can rewrite the kernel to ignore the check. My blood ran cold. Preston, listen to me very carefully. If Chase attempts to rewrite the kernel on a live D.O.D server, the intrusion detection system will interpret that as a hostile foreign attack. It won't just lock down, it will scorch the earth. You're just trying to scare us, Preston scoffed. You want your job back. Well, it's not happening. Chase is a wizard. He'll fix your mess. Click. He hung up. I sat there in the silence of my cabin. A wizard. He called him a wizard. I picked up my phone and texted David. Me, get out of the building. Now, tell the team to leave. Pull the fire alarm if you have to. Just get out. David, why? What's happening? Me, Chase is going to try to patch the kernel. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. David, I'm leaving, taking the team to the bar across the street. Me, good choice. Order a pitcher. Put it on my tab. I closed my laptop. I didn't need to watch the status page anymore. I knew what was going to happen. It's like watching a car crash in slow motion. You don't need to see the impact to know the glass is going to break. I went to the fridge and opened a bottle of white wine. I'm not a heavy drinker, but tonight felt like a special occasion. Tonight was the night the music died. The sun went down. The moon came up. The coyotes started howling. At 9:00 p.m., my phone rang. It wasn't Preston. It wasn't David. The caller ID was blank, just a flat line. I answered on the first ring. Director Karen redacted speaking. Karen, the voice was gravel and old bourbon. It was General Miller. He wasn't technically a general anymore. He was a consultant for the Pentagon, which meant he had more power than a general and answered to fewer people. We had worked together on the initial site architecture 5 years ago. General, I said, how's the hip? Hip is fine. The network is not. We just lost the heartbeat on cluster 4 through 9. We're seeing a massive encryption event. Are you under attack? I don't know, sir, I said, sipping my wine. I don't work there anymore. There was a pause, a long, heavy pause. Say again? I was relieved of command on Tuesday. New management, cultural shift. They wanted to go in a more vibe-based direction. Vibe-based? Miller repeated the word as if it were a foreign contagion. Karen, who is manning the helm? A young gentleman named Chase. His previous experience includes running a Discord server and making TikToks about crypto. You are shitting me. I wish I was, sir. They threw out the RSA keys. They ignored the handover protocols. And about 4 hours ago, the CEO told me this chase was going to attempt to rewrite the kernel to bypass the heartbeat check. Rewrite the kernel? Miller's voice dropped an octave. On a live Tier 1 node. Yes, sir, that triggers the Counterintusion Protocol Alpha. I know, sir, it treats the facility as hostile territory. I know, sir, it